Welcome to Man That's Cooking! In today's video, we're going to show you how to make Swedican meatballs. What the hell is that? Ah yes, the great people of Swedica have shared with us their recipe of Swedish meatballs mixed with Mexican jalapenos and chipotle powder. So first we're going to start by dicing up one white onion, and we're going to put it in a pan, and we're going to put about 1 tablespoon of butter. And what we're going to do is we're just going to fry this up until the onions get translucent. And we're going to add a little bit of salt. That's up to you. We like salt. While we're cooking our onions, we're going to remove the crust from 2 slices of day-old bread. It's kind of like when you're making sandwiches for Grandma. She doesn't like that crust because she's crusty enough already. And once we're done with that, we're going to add a half cup of half and half. Our next step is to remove the seeds from a jalapeno, and we're going to rough cut this jalapeno and place it into the handy chopper. If you want yours extra hot, keep the seeds in. We're also going to chop up about 1 to 2 cloves of garlic and add that to the handy chopper as well. Here's how we get it done in the modern world. Next, we're going to de-seed our second jalapeno, and this one's going to go into our meatball gravy. Now, if you love jalapenos, you could certainly add 1 or 2 more to your gravy mix. And now back to the onions. When these are turning translucent, just remove them from the heat and set them aside so they can cool down for a little bit. So after a few minutes of your bread soaking up that half and half, use your hand to break the bread up into little pieces. Next, we're going to add the jalapeno garlic mix from our handy chopper. And now it's about to get real, folks. We're going to add 1 pound of beef and 1 pound of pork. Now we're going to add 1 egg. We're going to add some kosher salt. We're going to add some chipotle powder. We're adding some allspice. And we're going to add some nutmeg. And finally, we're going to add some Worcestershire sauce. And when your onions have cooled down, add them to this mixing bowl. And then we're going to use our hands to mix up this mixture. Alright, so this is a fun part to watch if you're into this sort of thing. And if you are, we're not going to judge. Just make sure that you're thorough with this step here. Okay, our next step is to saute the jalapenos for our gravy mixture. And you can see that's a large amount of butter that we've got there. But that's okay because that's going to be used later to fry up our meatballs. So we're going to cook these jalapenos until they get a little bit brown. And then we're going to remove them and set them aside for later. And it's meatball time. So here's our technique. Just grab a little bit of meat, roll it around in the palm of your hand, and make a ball. You can also take your fingers and just push the meat around like so here, and make a small ball. It's very straightforward, and with about 2 pounds of meat, you've got some work to do. So after you've made about a dozen of these, go ahead and add them to your frying pan, and you want to have about a medium-high heat. And once you've done this, back to the meatball factory. You want to keep working on these until you use all the meat up from the mixing bowl. And at some point when you're done or before you finish your meatballs, preheat your oven to 250 degrees. So after 8 minutes, it's time to flip your meatballs. So use a pair of tongs and be very gentle with these because they are a bit fragile. And simply turn them over to the other side. When your meatballs are brown on both sides, and that's about 8 minutes per side, go ahead and transfer them to a cookie sheet, and this will go into the oven later once we cook up every one of these meatballs. And go ahead and add the next batch to the frying pan and keep repeating this process until you've cooked all of the meatballs. When you finish frying up the meatballs, place the cookie sheet into the oven and let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. And it's gravy time! So we're going to start by adding some more butter, and you want to make sure that you get all the paper wrapping out. Now, some gravy purists will start with a fresh pan without any of these glorious meat bits from cooking the meatballs. But the great people of Swedica use this age-old recipe that includes meat bits. And so we're going to follow their traditional recipe. So the basic idea is to add flour, add beef broth, and keep stirring. And when we're finally there, we're going to add our heavy whipping cream. And that's going to make the classic Swedican meatball gravy. Now at times it might look a little rough, and you might have some peanut butter on your hands. But just keep adding your beef broth and keep stirring. And of course, don't put everything in there at once like Man did with his flour. You want to slowly add that so that you don't have this peanut butter situation going on. And after we've added in 1 can of beef broth, we're going to add in our whipping cream and keep stirring. And once everything gels together nicely, we're going to add our sauteed jalapenos. And we're going to add a little bit of salt and some cracked black pepper. And now we're adding the final amount of beef broth, and we're going to keep stirring. And now we've got a nice gravy consistency. And it's time to pull the meatballs out of the oven and put them all into this pan. After you transfer all the meatballs into the pan, go ahead and stir it up and make sure you coat all sides of the meatballs. And then the next step is to put this on a burner on low heat and let it cook for about 10 minutes. Oh, look at that. Now, doesn't that look good? That's where it's at. And of course, the people of Swedica recommend mashed potatoes as the perfect side dish for your meatballs. And there it is. It's glorious. If you pull this off, you can build any kind of snap-together furniture. Take a look at that. Oh man, that looks good. So come on down to manthat'scooking.com. Check out our other recipes. Check out our YouTube channel where we have a lot of different recipes for you to watch and enjoy. If you like this video, please click like. If you got any feedback for us, give us some comments in the video comment section. We hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you try it out and let us know what you think about it. Thanks for watching.